And welcome back. I'm Lydia Serrani. We're continuing to count down the major stories of the week, but we'll also be bringing you the numbers behind the stories that matter. All right, time now for story number 5 on our countdown. Free education with a mandate handed to him by the American voters that includes eliminating the bureaucracy in Washington. President Trump he's taking a sledgehammer to the swamp. Another way Trump is expected to shake things up is by dismantling the Department of Education. You'll recall the president-elect made this pledge back in 2023.
One other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C.
Joining us now to discuss former press secretary at the U.S. Department of Education under Secretary Betsy DeVos. DeVos, I'm saying her name wrong. Angela DeVos. Angela Morabito, also with us, president of the Parents Defending Education. Nicole Neily, thank you both so much for joining us. What do you think? You know, some people say, oh, why does he want to get rid of the Department of Education? You know, why? Things are going so well. I mean, here in New York City, they're getting rid of Regents exams, because I think instead of raising the bar, we're lowering the bar. So that's the solution here. Just make everyone pass and then no one fails. What do you think about this, Angela? President Trump's promise to dismantle the Department of Education in Washington, D.C.
I think it's a wonderful idea, and it's sorely needed because, as you noted, standards have just been on this downward spiral for decades. And that's really been driven largely by the teacher unions, that because of their equity ideology and because of their inability to admit how horribly they've failed America's students and families, they just keep lowering the bar. But states and local communities are closest to the work, and they should be the ones making decisions about education, not bureaucrats in Washington. So let's get rid of this very expensive middleman, this Department of Education, and put power back in the hands of parents and communities where it belongs.
You know, Nicole, I mean, if Trump follows through, which I believe he will, who will teach our white kindergartners, right, and preschoolers that they're oppressors and that they should apologize, right, for being white? Who will organize drag queen story hours? Who will fight for our right to show children gay sex in the library books and ask them their pronouns? I mean, we could go on and on about this radical woke agenda.
Yeah, you know, it's real mystery how children in this country were educated before the department's creation in the 1970s. You know, that being said, obviously, unwinding the department is going to take a long time. And I'm really excited about a lot of the other promises that President Trump has made to clean up a lot of the mess that he has inherited from the Biden-Harris administration, from the Obama administration. He has centered parental rights back in his platform, which is incredible. He has prioritized knowledge and skills, not identity politics, safety in the classroom, great teachers, and getting bad teachers and principals out. I mean, these are very basic, fundamental things that always should have been taking place, and that this administration, particularly under Secretary Cardona, didn't care about at all. All they cared about, as Angela alluded to, is equity. American children deserve better, and it is time for change.
It certainly is. You know, Angela, the left has been, I feel like they've been using the Department of Education to indoctrinate children. Current Education Secretary Miguel Cardona, we just heard from Nicole, if you support eliminating the Department of Education, you do not support our students, period. This would be bad for students and bad for America. So what do you think about his tweet right there?
Well, his tweet is a lie, and a very harmful lie at that. I think it's one of the most pervasive myths out there that getting rid of the Department of Education means getting rid of education funding. It actually means the opposite. It means that more federal dollars would actually make it into classrooms to serve students and help teachers. So you're watching somebody who is in lockstep with the teacher unions and doesn't want to give up the power that they have had in Washington for far too long.
And Nicole, the left, the woke mind, virus-afflicted Trump derangement syndrome sufferers, they're losing their minds. They're losing their minds after Trump's landslide victory. Here's how a woke school board member in Massachusetts reacted to Trump's win. She wrote, "Thank goodness we have a piece of bleep covered in broken glass instead of a well-qualified, intelligent, capable woman. Bleep you, Trump supporters. I hope you choke on it." She resigned. Also in Connecticut, another special education teacher she promised violence towards Trump supporters. I mean, it goes on and on and on. These are people that are supposed to be educating our children, being leaders in our community. What do you think about all of the teachers that have been brainwashed into thinking that Trump is the big bad boogeyman?
Right. I mean, these people should not be within 1,000 feet of a school, much less my children. And this is taking place under the failed leadership of Secretary Cardona. Everything that he has done, everything has prioritized, everything he has touched has been destroyed. The FAFSA rollout, the school closures. He has done more to set back and hurt American school children than almost anybody else this century. And so I think, there is, as I said before, we have to change things because American children deserve better. Even before the pandemic, student achievement was terrible. And after the pandemic, it fell off a cliff. And when our children got back into the classrooms, rather than making up that learning loss, all they did was spend hours every day learning to be divided on the basis of immutable characteristics like race and sex. That is unacceptable. Our children deserve better. Our country deserves better, because when our children don't know basic reading and math, we're unable to compete in a global economy. This is such a bad thing for America, and it's about time that we just root out all the bad people, top to bottom.
I mean, we have children that are graduating from high school and they can't put a sentence together. It is frightening. Angela, Nicole, thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you.